I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. There's plenty of room. Come on in, have a seat. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Oh, it's been a while, but this is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV, and we are talking about a mini-series today, which I guess you could qualify as TV, even though we stream
It is television.
Everything. It's no longer televised, but...
It is, technically. You can still watch it whenever you want on Netflix.
Yeah, but that's not televised. That's not...
Technically. I mean, the definition of television and televised is being changed now that streaming is included.
It?
I mean, yeah, a lot of shows are being streamed on on
I know,
shows
but are they
TV
TV shows or are they streaming?
Yes,
shows?
100% they're TV shows. I can tell you that the producers, the writers, the directors, everybody refers it to as a TV show.
All right. Well,
it's a show on your TV.
It's a show on your TV, and it doesn't matter. And we're talking about the fall of the House of Usher. And for some reason, my hand is killing me. Like it was fine.
No.
It was fine before we started. I didn't hit it against anything. But now it hurts. And it's distracting
Did you stick it anywhere?
No. I don't think so. It's cold in here. Maybe
Did you have it wedged under your butt?
No. It didn't.
Oh, no.
Well, anyways, it has been a while, and I'll tell you why. Like, oh my god. We wanted this to come out in the beginning of November, and
Oh yeah. We've been cutting episodes left and right this past couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. So we just did a brand new production of The Nutcracker, and at the place that I work, The Nutcracker has been the most important show every year for like the last 50 years. And they've only changed the show once. So it's been the same since like the 80s. Then they came and redid it with all these cool effects and stuff. And, the show turns out pretty great, I would say. But it was a lot of work. And, they threw a lot of labor at the problem. The only thing is that there's only so many laborers. And I'm one of them. So, yeah, I was kind of just not available. So, anyways.
You were just gone.
Yeah, I was gone. Just gone.
You were in a void from me for a whole month.
I was, and it was
terrible. I saw you
terrible.
sparingly. It was terrible. Yeah. I cried.
We did have Thanksgiving together.
We did. That was nice. Yeah. I gave thanks for that.
So did I. Thank you. Thank you. The great Poe in the sky. So
the great Poe.
The great Poe.
Yeah. Well, what is your experience? I know we've already talked around Poe, many times. Not
a time or two, sure.
At the very least.
Well, yeah.
What's your experience, I guess, with Fall of the House of Usher?
Fall of the House of Usher, we read in school, and because of my state of dyslexia, I hardly ever finished any of the reading assignments.
Oh, that's fair.
I got close most of the time.
Yeah.
So I remember liking the build-up, but I didn't actually make it to the literal fall. So I just figured the whole thing was a metaphor. Right.
I mean, yeah, technically. I mean, a lot of it is.
But then...
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of Poe, though,
Well, I read it later in life, and yeah, and enjoy it. But I was like, wait, what? I was like, well, I got that question wrong on the exam.
Oh my god, no! I love this. It's the same story for me. We read it in school, and I was more along the lines of I read for fun. I love reading. That's one of my favorite things I do. I can just easily just sit down with a book and you'll lose me. when it came to school, when they would force me to read something, you know, I had that typical reaction of just like, I don't like this. This isn't what I want to read. I was enjoying what I was reading, and now you're forcing me to read something else.
Oh, sons of bitches.
And I think, honestly, that might be why I read technically 3 or 4 books a day, like at a time. That is,
gotcha.
Like not a day. I don't read a whole book a day.
Yeah,
but like I read 3 or 4 books at a time. Typically, in one day, I'll read, you know, a lot of from each one.
Each of them, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it came from school. It came from me wanting to read my own thing, but being forced to read something else. And then one day we read Fall of the House of Usher, and I was reading it. I was like, this is fucking great. Like, I was in love. I was immediately just like, I have not witnessed gothic horror at all before then. And I was just like, I'm reading every fucking gothic horror I could find because I enjoyed that atmosphere, that unease.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of unease in the Fall of the House of Usher.
Right. There is. And this, like, you know, this is taking one story and making a multifaceted series. And, you know, they bring in other elements of Poe's writing, obviously.
It's kind of like shoving those stories as the facets to this.
Yeah,
like you're just using all these other stories to like build this. And it's really cool how it works. It all fits together really well.
I really enjoyed it. So what we have here is a pair of twins by the last name of Usher, Roderick and Madeline. Yeah,
no relation to the artist.
No. This was written long before Usher was singing, for sure.
I would hope. Who knows? The man might be ageless.
He might be one of the ageless of LA. You never know. So Bruce Greenwood and Zach Gilford play Roderick, and Mary McDonnell and Willa Fitzgerald play Madeline, and they do 2 different timelines of them being young business people trying to get back into their family's company called Fortunato, which is a pharmaceutical company.
You start off at the very beginning with Bruce Greenwood, who is not Sam Neill. I thought for the longest time, I thought Sam Neill was the guy playing Roderick Usher. Like 3 episodes in. I was 3 episodes in when I found out
that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. I wanted to say something because you had a miscommunication of an actor as well who we'll get to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we could go ahead and say, like, at this point, that to get into this company, they kind of inadvertently make a deal with this character named Verna.
Yes.
Played by Carla Gugino, and or Gugino. It might be Gugino. I'm sorry. But anyways,
I think it's Gugino.
Gugino. Okay, thank you. Anyhow, you're the one who took Italian courses out of the 2 of us, so
anyhow, I would not trust me at all. I'm just making an assumption off of what makes the most sense to me.
The whole time we watched it, I thought it was Rachel Weisz, and it's just not. It's just not her.
It's just not. No.
And
I can see it though. I understand your confusion.
And I do see it with Bruce Greenwood a little bit. I do. But I think it's because...
Sam Neill. Okay, thank God.
Yes, I do. But I think I've just seen Greenwood in some other Netflix things recently, so...
Oh, no, I've seen Bruce Greenwood in so much. I mean, he's the voice of Batman, too, in a lot of things. Right. But, like, he's an amazing actor. I think for me, it was just his mustache. I think having that mustache on him, for whatever reason, just made him look more like Sam Neill than I've ever seen Bruce Greenwood look. Like,
but yeah, I really thought that this was Rachel Weisz, and so many movies. I looked through Carla's filmography, and I'm so sorry. I thought so many movies you were in were Rachel Weisz, and I feel so bad.
Oh man. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Like, I only know Carla from a very few things. Carla Gugino. I know her from Spy Kids movies. I don't remember the Spy Kids movies. I just remember her in them.
Right.
And also she was in Watchmen, as we found out, which I didn't realize she was Sally Jupiter in Watchmen. I didn't know that.
Either.
So that's awesome. Yeah. It's good to see her again.
That one I thought
good to see you, Carla.
was,
Thanks for listening.
That one I did not recognize as Rachel Weisz. So
that's fair.
The very good job that you did in that, I actually gave you credit for. And you do a very good job normally in all the movies that I thought you were a different person. All right, let's move on. I'll stop flagellating myself.
The setup, though, is that Roderick Usher is telling the story, his life story, to Auguste Dupin, or Dupin. I don't know how to say it. I've always said Dupin just because it's fun to say Auguste Dupin.
Yeah.
But I think it's Dupin. But anyways, Auguste Dupin is he's played by Carl Lumbly and Malcolm Goodwin. Malcolm Goodwin's from iZombie, along with another actor, Rahul Kohli.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that because I have watched some of that.
It's nice to see that little reunion of iZombie reunion. It's
not even though those characters don't interact with each other at all.
Oh yeah, never interact because
whoever
Malcolm
cast
Goodwin
them
plays the younger version of Auguste.
Yeah.
So yeah, his character is his version of Auguste is not alive when Rahul Kohli is playing.
He's still alive. Anyways, he's just inhabited by a much older
his version
body.
of the character. His version of the character is not alive. Yeah. The other guy now. I'm sorry, I'm being confusing. Anyways, what's happening is Roderick's kids have all died. He had 6 kids, two from one marriage, 4 from different illegitimate or different marriages.
Right.
And those 6 kids have all tragically passed away in horrific accidents. Mm-hmm. And Roderick Usher is telling his life story to Auguste Dupin because Auguste has spent his entire life trying to destroy Fortunato Pharmaceuticals, which is Roderick's and
he wants
Madeline's
them
company.
to pay for all the wrongdoing that they've done, which is a decent amount.
I mean, it's an insurance company. It's a pharmaceutical company, not an insurance company. It's a pharmaceutical company, and we all know in America just how ridiculous that shit is.
And they sell things that they know will get people hooked on it. Yeah,
$1,000 a month for diabetic medication, that kind of stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. Right. Nobody can do that. That kind of shit's ridiculous. And I really appreciate. This is a Mike Flanagan show. I don't know if we mentioned that. Mike Flanagan, he's amazing. The House on Bly Man.
Did he also do Midnight Mass?
He did Midnight Mass and Midnight.
It was The Haunting on Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House, maybe.
Haunting of Hill House, thank you. Yeah. Haunting of Hill House.
Bly Manor.
The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Right.
The movie's Doctor Sleep. Like, he's brilliant. He's great at what he does. He's really establishing himself in the horror genre, at least modern day horror genre. And I think he did a great. I think he had the perfect idea for this and vision for this story, because that is an important thing right now. Is how the pharmaceutical company is ripping off America, and he tells this amazing story of this villainous guy, Roderick Usher, and his sister Madeline, and the ridiculous and tragic routes their stories had to go to bring them to this point.
Yeah.
And you get those different stories. That's why there's 2 actors playing all those characters we mentioned, is because you have the modern day 2023 characters, and then you have all their younger selves who are being, flashbacked to while Roderick's telling this story.
Right. So one thing that I really liked about how this story was told is that because he is delivering this to Auguste, or Augie is the pet name that he has for him. While he's telling Augie these stories, you already know that all his kids have died. You know that the tragedy has happened already. And so what you're watching it for is to see exactly what happened.
What brought him there.
Details. And I think what would be fun to do is just kind of go through their deaths. I don't know if that's too much of a spoiler, but like...
I don't think so. The show's been out for a couple months now.
Yeah. That was really the fun part of it, too.
The unraveling of the story of what happened, like, obviously we can keep that spoiler-free. Like, we won't talk about all of the details of Roderick and Madeline's deal and what they did.
Yeah.
But, like, all of that unfolding is fascinating. But I definitely was going into each episode being like, oh my god, how's the kid gonna die next? Like,
and I know, and it feels like we're terrible people because of that, but it was...
Well, they're terrible people.
They're are terrible people.
Billions off of people's... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Lenore is the only good one.
See, this is a situation of really good characters who are super fucking hateable, and yet you still kind of like them. Like, but, like, this is a really good example of how to tell this kind of a story with these hated characters and not lose me. Because it's like a lot of shows have these characters that it's like, am I really supposed to be rooting for this character? Because they're such a fucking asshole. Like, I don't care for them.
Right.
And this one, I don't have to root for any one of them. I just have to see how they die.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that.
And you do like a couple of them because, like, you understand their pressures and stuff. And they do a good job of making you actually understand each of them. But there's still a couple of them that you can't. Just they're not redeemable people.
No. And the weirdest part is that they all die from youngest to oldest. They die in order, and yet nobody mentions that at all in the show. Like, there's like, you'd think that somebody would be like, you know, if like all this is happening, there's got to be some kind of like, oh man, like, you know, that person's got to watch out. They're next because they're the next of age. But it's just like, as they die in order, you know, you get to a part where there's like only 4 kids left, and they're just like, man, this is crazy, you know, I don't understand. The next one dies off, and then the third oldest is just like, man, that's sad. Our 3 youngest have all died. And I'm like, you should be terrified right now.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, that's one of the, like, I'm going to say it was a weak spot. It's not really weak at all, but that was a weak point where I'm just like, there's certain things that I think should be brought up, and the fact that they're all dying in order is one of them.
Yeah, you'd think that's something that Arthur Gordon Pym would have noticed.
Yeah, or questioned at all. Like, it's so weird. But yeah, let's start with Perry. It is Perry. Prospero Usher, played by Sorian Sapkoda. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm fairly certain I did. I don't really remember his character too much because I wasn't invested in the first episode.
Okay, well then I got you. So he is a hedonist, and you know, so he likes to party and fuck all the fucking time.
Hell yeah!
And
I love that.
He all of the ushers have been given an opportunity by Madeline and Roderick for business opportunities.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And when it comes his turn, he just wants to make a club. Like the most exclusive club that's all about fucking and drinking and smoking and stuff. And they're like...
I remember his death.
Yeah. And they're like...
I remember his death at the club.
And they're like, we're not gonna fund that. Anyhow, he goes behind their backs and opens this exclusive orgy club that's a masquerade and will hop from place to place in the abandoned buildings of the pharmaceutical company. And they've all been abandoned and condemned for good reasons.
Yeah.
So, he's throwing the first of these parties, by the way, which he invites his sister-in-law to. An orgy.
Yes.
He invites his sister-in-law to an orgy. That being, what's her name? Is Morella Usher, played by Crystal Valiant. And she's married to Frederick. Yeah, it was Frederick. Henry Thomas plays Frederick. So she actually ends up there. So, you know. Yeah.
At the club.
And
just checking it out.
Yeah,
she's not there for frisky reasons.
Prospero thought it was a good idea that at some point of the party, the sprinklers go off and everybody's clothes get wet, and it will be wet, sloppy fun. And so they go off, and he's ready for it, but there's some sort of chemical waste or something in the pipes from his dad's bad business practices. And
that they
melts
were like
the party
ordered by the government to get rid of.
Yes, yeah. And they, it was going to cost millions of dollars to get rid of or something.
Yeah. We'll just shove it in the sprinkler system.
We'll just dump it somewhere. Building. Yeah, we'll just dump it somewhere later. And then we'll knock
the building down.
Yeah.
They won't notice. Because the building will be gone.
Yeah. And so anyways, the party melts and Prospero dies. But Morella does survive, so then she goes back into Frederick's custody, which is we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Next on the youthful death wish is would it be Kate? Was Kate Camille? Kate Siegel? Camille, was she next?
Yes. Kate Siegel's Camille
L'Espagne, which is totally not Edgar Allan Poe trying to say the Spanish,
right?
And cover it up. But Kate Siegel, she is Mike Flanagan's wife. She's been in pretty much every single thing he's done. She's a brilliant actor. And this is one of the roles where I struggled to see it was her, because normally she has red hair, and this she had blonde hair, and I guess that was all I needed to just completely not see that it was Kate Siegel. But she is the controlling public figure of the family. She does the public relations. She's very controlling about information. She's very specific with what gets leaked to the press. About the image of the family and everything. And she is worried about her older sister, Victorine, played by Tania Miller, because she thinks that Victorine's work on this heart device that she is building, this experimental heart device, isn't that good. She believes that her sister is cutting some corners and not telling the family the full amount of information about this. And she goes to collect evidence of this at a morgue where her sister is using some animals to test all this device.
Right.
And I say animals, they're specifically it was chimpanzees, right?
Yes.
I think it was chimps.
Yeah.
She's using Victorine is using chimpanzees to test out her experimental heart device. And one of those chimpanzees gets free and fucking mauls Camille.
Yeah, but I think what's really interesting about that is that it doesn't look like a chimpanzee at first.
No, it does not. Yes, Camille is definitely seeing Verna, as we've already talked about Verna.
That's right.
She is visiting all of the kids before their death. She visited Prospero. She put a mask on his burnt, melting face.
Right. Well, they almost had sex before the sprinkler event, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
And I thought, it was... So, at this point, I still thought, they could really stray from the story at any point. And they, it really is quite extrapolated on from what the source. Anyways, I thought this woman could be, his mom or something, or
I know, I was expecting something weird.
No,
that first episode, I don't know why, but I was not hooked in that first episode. I was I'm intrigued, but this isn't I was telling everybody around me that I was just I'm intrigued and I like it, but this isn't the best Mike Flanagan I've seen. He's been better. And then as the show went on, as we got after Camille's episode, I think honestly it was the third episode where I was just all right, what's going to happen next? I'm very excited about this. Who's going to die next? I can't wait.
Speaking of who dies next, we have Raul Coley, who we've kind of hinted at. He's the other iZombie alum, and he plays Napoleon Leo Usher. Now, Leo publishes video games, but he also likes drugs a lot. Like a lot. And like he was Prospero's provider. He sometimes gives Camille stuff.
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. Later, Frederick comes and gets coke from him. That's true.
Oh, yeah. That was a funny scene.
Yeah, because like he obviously didn't know what he was doing. So Raoul's is a little bit more complicated, I feel like. So he has a live-in boyfriend who he has not introduced to the family yet. And he's also very pansexual as well. A trait that he shared with his younger brother. And he accidentally, they get high after one of the siblings' deaths. They get very high. And he wakes up and his boyfriend's cat has been murder-polized behind the couch. Yeah.
He thinks, at least. He sees it.
He sees it.
He definitely sees it.
And he thinks that he did it. So he also cleans it up. So like if it was also a physical hallucination, if it was just a hallucination.
Yeah. Well, I think it was all in his head. Like I think like even the stuff that he used to clean up the blood just like didn't have blood on it. He just was imagining that he was cleaning it up.
Maybe it's all very possible. But what he does is he goes to the pound where he meets Verna and asks for a new cat, but it has to be the exact same looking cat. Yes. And he grabs this cat that she warns him against. It's like, no, this cat's fucked up. You
don't want this cat.
You don't want this.
You don't want it.
It's like Godzilla from Mousetrap or Catzilla, whatever.
Catzilla, yeah. This is so much more easier than just telling his boyfriend, I might have accidentally killed your cat, bro.
Right, yeah. It is. And because he's also, like, I don't know, he's a very closed-off person, even though he has, this charisma. And
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on him, specifically given his siblings. And it's like he himself, as a game designer, is already successful.
Right.
But I feel like he still feels not successful. Like he still feels like a failure to the family.
Right. Sure.
If that makes sense.
He feels like the black sheep. And well, that's another thing about this show is that Prospero, Napoleon, and Victorine, actually also Camille, they are all bastards, and they are treated differently from their other two siblings, Freddie and Tammy. So that's another thing that keeps on getting played on in the show, that they also have an extra amount of pressure because of that.
They don't feel like proper ushers.
Right. And in fact, the fucking Wikipedia called them illegitimate children. I know I used bastards, but like, I mean,
as awful as it is, I think illegitimate children is like the preferred over bastards.
Is it? But that just makes it sound like they don't even exist.
I know, but I think they would like to be considered illegitimate as opposed to bastards.
No, I think they would. I think they would just be glad to be considered the children of the person. Like,
right? Yeah. I mean, I guess the best way to say it is out of wedlock is how they were born.
Yes,
but like,
true.
Yeah, it don't matter. Anyways, but one thing I really like though is that if you looked at there's one shot where they show Leo at the pet store after his death. That is, they look at a photograph of him at the pet store or going to get this pet, and it is not a pet store at all. It is like a rundown building that's just like destroyed and disgusting, and the cat that he thinks he's buying is actually a rat. And like there's so much to it that I'm just like, Leo's was my favorite story. I was really fascinated with the his death, his episode, and everything, because it really is like a very big mental fuck, like all of it, because it's like everything was in his head when he finally goes insane trying to kill this cat, basically, because the cat starts destroying the house and attacking him specifically. Like, it starts specifically doing things to piss Leo off, like leaving a rat in his pillow casing and everything, that kind of stuff. Oh, it's disgusting. But eventually he in his attempt to kill it, falls over the edge of his balcony and dies.
Yep.
And as he's lying on the sidewalk dead, the first cat walks by with the collar on that his boyfriend had given it and everything. Like, yeah, he never killed that fucking cat. It just left. It went off into the streets of New York,
dun, dun,
or wherever the fuck they're
dun.
at. Not to spoil that whole episode, I just loved that episode. Like, that was the one where I was just like, this is good shit. This is good television.
At some point, you do find out that Roderick has this disease that actually makes him see things. And I was like, man, this could all be like just a vision into a one big family psychosis, you know?
Yeah,
like that's one way to look at it. Yeah, because
they have
but Verna is too compelling of a character to write that off.
And I enjoy that mental play with him having that disease and everything, because as he's telling the story in the present day, he's being haunted by his kids. Yeah, and it's some good shit.
And his mother, he's always been haunted by his mother. And there's also a weird story with his mother that. When she died, they buried her, and she came back to life, and then went and killed their father, who wouldn't recognize them as children. Another interesting part of the story, and the fact that they are children wet out of wedlock, is like Roderick. He's like, anyone who comes to my door and says that we're blood, then we're blood. He's like, I fucked enough people.
And that's one weird thing too about his character that, like, I feel like is obviously a trait but doesn't feel like a trait, is that his character was like very I don't know what he was a slut, like,
promiscuous.
He was constantly sleeping around. Promiscuous, thank you. I couldn't think of a better word. But like when they go to the past, like that guy playing young Roderick, who was that again? What was his name?
Oh,
Zach Gilford. Like, and not to knock Zach, he played an amazing Roderick Usher as a younger. Like him and Bruce Greenwood, they felt interchangeable as this character. But I just didn't see young Roderick Usher just having sex with all these women like crazy. I mean, I guess he did have a lot of money, so like, maybe that was it.
It's also before he becomes the CEO.
Yeah,
and
he just doesn't seem like he has a lot of charisma.
Right, he's still married to who was probably the love of his life, Annabelle Lee. Katie Parker played Annabelle Lee.
Annabelle. Yeah, and like, I don't know, I enjoyed it, but like, I don't know. I just like that character. Like when you find out that he's just been sleeping around all this time, I'm just like, really? But how? He doesn't have any charisma. Like he doesn't. He doesn't seem like he talks to women that much.
Roderick definitely has the riz.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true.
So
Sam Neill, not Sam Neill.
Yeah, not Sam.
Who's next? It's Tania,
so
right?
After
Tania
that,
Miller
it's Tania Miller. And like we said, she's working on monkeys, but she's been working, chimpanzees. She's been working on them with who has become her wife, and her research partner has become her wife.
Dr. Alessandra Ruiz, played by Paula Nunez.
Thank you. And so, they've been married for a while, and she finds out, this being the wife, that Victorine has been falsifying documents to make the study progress, and doing other unethical things like that. Killing,
like signing her name on documents. Signing her wife's name on documents.
Signing her wife's name on documents. And so she threatens to leave. And, after she leaves, Victorine starts hearing this thumping just everywhere.
Yeah.
Just thumping.
It's a weird chirping sound.
A chirping thump, yes. And so it's driving her insane, and like she's fucking up meetings and stuff like that because of it. Yeah. Then she sequesters herself at home with music really loud, and Roderick comes and he's like, I can't hear you. Can we turn off the music?
And it's so sad. He like bears his heart.
Yes.
Like he has like a really true emotional moment that
really
that his
good.
character just has not had at all through the show up until that point.
Right. Like 4 of his children have died.
Yeah.
Well, 3. And so he's sad and upset, and he's coming to her. Then he's like, oh, you're wigging out.
You're going absolutely ape shit, aren't you? And she's like, apes?
Apes? What do you mean? Do you hear
I
that?
didn't do anything with apes.
Yeah, so the music gets turned down at some point, and she's like, you don't hear that, do you? And he's like, no, I do hear it.
Yeah.
They go and they look for it, and you find out that
God.
even though she has blocked it out of her mind, Victorine has pinned her wife to the wall, surgically opened her up, and installed the device that they were working on together. And that's been the tripping, thumping sound that she's been hearing.
Yeah, her wife is absolutely dead, but her heart is going like crazy because of that device. Like,
and
it is fucked.
Roderick tries to stop her, but when she rediscovers this, she breaks and kills herself with some kind of spike. I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember exactly how she killed herself. I just remember like Bruce Greenwood's acting in that. I mean, Tania Miller's acting is amazing.
Scene.
But like, his reaction, like it's great. Like that was so well done. It was unnerving as fuck.
All this pressure I've put her under all her life.
Yeah, he starts to realize a lot of the bad shit that he's done to these poor people.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my God. And none have struggled as much as, I mean, actually, it's not true. But Tamara Lane, the second oldest, played by Samantha Sloyan, she is aspiring to be pretty much like her dad. This big famous CEO. She has a company called Built, I think, right? It was Built T.
Something like that.
No, Goldbug.
Goldbug
is the
but
company.
Built is part of it. And that's her husband.
Her husband, Bill. He is fitness, I don't know what you call him, influencer.
Bedell. Yeah, fitness influencer, I guess.
Yeah, Matt Bedell. Matt Bedell be William Wilson. And he's a good guy. Bill is. Bill.
He seems like
he's nice. He's trying to make this relationship work, even though she is just not invested in it. She
also enjoys to be cuckolded.
Yeah. She is a cuck. It is kind of fun. A lot of that too. She is so busy. She just doesn't have the time to please him. So she hires other people to please him, and then she gets off watching them please her husband. Like and like she just like her problem throughout the show is she just cannot go to sleep. She is too busy. She's too strung out. She's like so many projects and things going on.
Her family's dying all around her.
Her family's dying like crazy. But like, and then like she just starts to slowly go insane because she's not sleeping. She's losing time.
Yeah, she's losing time because her brain's shutting off. Yeah.
And it's like eventually she has this big, display where she has people come in. She's got to show them their product and everything.
Yeah, it's the product launch. And
it's so cringe. That whole scene. It's so uncomfortable to watch.
And it all happens because she starts getting jealous of Built with Verna. And it hasn't happened. Built never did anything with her other than the one time that she came in and played the version of her that she watches and masturbates to.
Yeah.
That being Tamberlane.
Exactly.
Tamberlane.
Yeah, and then her death is kind of melodramatic, honestly. Like, she goes crazy. She destroys her image, basically. Right. And then she literally destroys her image when she goes to her bedroom, and, like, she had a mirror above her bed and everything. And then she, like, jumps up to destroy it.
For cuck purposes.
Yeah, for cuck purposes. When she destroys it, though, when she destroys the mirror above her, like all the glass comes down on her. It's a good scene, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's not as lasting as the other family deaths.
It was still interesting. I liked the metaphor and everything.
Oh yeah, it all worked. Yeah, like it was good.
So, lastly, that leaves.
I'll let you talk
Freddy.
about Frodrick.
So Freddy, like we said, he has picked up both his wife and cocaine, and he is not taking care of his wife, really. He is intentionally drugging her into paralysis so that he can keep her under his thumb, because he's like, what were you doing?
Creep.
What were you doing at the orgy with my brother?
Why were you at an orgy with my brother? Yeah, what's going on?
What the fuck?
You're cheating on me. What's this random phone I found at the scene of the crime? It has to be your phone.
You fuck.
It's gotta be yours.
I know what a burner phone is because I have them.
Yeah, he is a sleeper creep. Frodrick is. I mean, I keep saying Frodrick because all the other kids make fun of him because he tries to be like his dad, Roderick. Right. He's trying so hard to be the next Roderick Usher. And it's annoying to all the other kids because he tries to be a goody two-shoes and everything. Right. And like, you spend the whole show, like, I mean, they have moments where you see his psychosis, where you see some of the bad stuff he's doing. But for like the first 4 episodes or so, you're just like, this guy is such a dummy. Like, you're like, whatever. Like, this guy kind of, yeah. And then you see the shit that he's doing. He is the sleeper villain of this whole show. because
he is the worst. Oh. And when Vera comes to collect the due, she lets him know, like, you're the worst one of the worst fucks I've ever dealt with.
Yeah, and you are absolutely disgusting.
Yes, yeah. So he's charged to demolish the building that Prospero died in. And he was tasked before that to get it done. And
he was supposed to do it before Prospero's death. Yeah.
And it was taking forever. So he calls the guys down there to do it. And then he goes in to the building to go see all the carnage and whatever. And he snorts some of his cocaine. But unbeknownst to him, when he was high on cocaine, Verna, like, influenced him to put some of the paralytic into the cocaine. Yeah. So Frederick is seizing / paralyzed, and Verna disguises herself as him and says, start the demolition. And he's buried alive. It's pretty great.
You can't forget the pendulum part, too, because that's so...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah. That was kind of shoehorned in, but...
It definitely was, but I loved it. He deserved it so much. Like, The Pit and the Pendulum, if you've never read that story, it's another obvious Edgar Allan Poe story. But, like, I love that idea of, like, you know, just sitting there and watching this pendulum just slowly coming towards you to kill you. And, like, this absolute fuck of a rat that is Frodrick Usher is just sitting there watching his death coming towards him, and I'm just like, you deserve this so fucking much. It is so good. Like, oh man,
I can't agree more. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my closing statement because we've talked a lot and we didn't even do a soda pop break. Anyhow, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way the story was told. I enjoyed a lot of the Poe Easter eggs. Sometimes that felt a little heavy-handed, but that's okay. I give it a full face. I'm tempted to give it a face and a half, but I'm not sure. I'd have to watch it again. It's been a little while.
It's fair. Yeah, I absolutely loved it as well. I would give it 3.5 stars. It's definitely one of the better Mike Flanagan stories. It took me a while to get into it, but once I got into it, I was hooked. I loved it. I love that ground post, so I loved all those references too. I think my favorite thing is, looking at Roderick Usher in the past, there's this character that him and his sister are always dealing with that they hate so much. His name is Rufus Griswold. He's the CEO before Roderick takes over the company. And he's played by Michael Trucco. He is an absolute dick, disgusting character. but there's so many things that he does that the Roderick Usher of the present day does, and that we saw him, in the way the story is told, we see Roderick Usher perform those actions before we ever see Rufus Griswold do them. But when you go back to the past and see all that, I love those comparisons. There's so many good comparisons of those characters, and how Roderick just slowly allowed this corruption to consume him. And like I loved it. It was good stuff. Like I highly recommend if you like Flanagan stories, definitely check it out on Netflix. Like
that really cycle that you're talking about really has a third part too, and it's the Usher's father. He's the person who started Fortunato, and he ran it the same way as Griswold and Roderick did. Really,
yeah, it just consumes them. That hunger for being in charge, I guess, like for getting all the power and the money. And, like, there's a really good shot of all of the people who have died because of pharmaceutical companies. I loved it. It's really ridiculous and kind of goofy, but, like, it really does sell the point of how awful pharmaceutical companies are and America's healthcare system is. Like, it's good stuff. Really good stuff.
Well, I think this is a show. I think we did it.
Indeed. Thanks again for coming back, guys and gals and all y'alls. And we're hoping to get more into a regular schedule as we start getting more settled. But yeah, thanks for sticking through us with the rough patch there. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon, your favorite experiment. Safe travels and good night.